Hello, everyone. Just calling the meeting to order. I'd like everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, tonight we are discussing the 2026 budget. And what I would like to do is, Bob or Bill, if you would want to start off a little bit, just to give a little bit of a background where we're at right now.
Sure.
And some of the highlights.
Sure. Okay. Well, I want to thank the supervisors for allowing us to present the 2026 proposed East Vincent Township budget. Want to thank everybody, all the boards and commissions for their input from the staff, from the various departments, our emergency services as well, to put this together. So from the overall highlights of this, it is proposed that there's no real estate tax increase for 2026. We're also planning that for 2027 and 2028. So we look at a 3-year no real estate tax increase. This budget does not include, there is no earned income tax increase for 2026. And as with the real estate tax, we are planning for no increase in that also for 2027 and 2028. So that'll be 3 years on both. There's no sewer fee increase for 2026. There's no hydrant water increase for 2026. There will be a small increase to the streetlight fund due to higher electric costs. Out of the 2,857 homes throughout East Vincent Township, this impacts approximately 119 homes by this small increase. Independence Park, finally, this project is moving forward. Want to thank the patience of our Board of Supervisors, but especially our Parks and Rec Board. This has been going on for a long time. And with the contract being approved now, there's $3.2 million that's appearing in the 2026 budget for the construction of Independence Park. In 2027's budget, we're looking at that hopefully that project is complete and paid. In 2026, we have grants that we're also working on a tight timeline to get those two done as well. But we would not be looking at those types of dollars again for 2027. And the overall budget for 2026, if you take out the Independence Park increase, there's actually a 9%, it's 9% less than the budget from 2025. The proposed 2026 budget maintains all current township services, fiscal accountability and transparency, adequately staffed and fairly compensated departments, adequately equipped departments, the current technology that we have, but also looking with upgrades, especially in this room and the technology that we use, as well as the township infrastructure from sanitary, storm, roads, and parks. We know that there'll be improvements taking place next year. There are some that are currently getting underway. Those will continue on. Also, a very good note here is the current strategies that have been developed by the Open Space Committee and this board for acquiring and purchasing open space and conserving and preserving that area, those areas throughout the township. Will also maintain that current program. Development plans for park and recreation facilities as well as historical preservation initiatives will continue. There are a number of park and open space facilities that are in the drawing board phase, and some are moving a little further along. Those will continue to be approved or looked at in this coming budget. Continued support for our environmental protections and programs. I know there's a program that's being looked at and recommended by our EAC that those dollars are fully in there for that particular project.
20,000 for testing the Stony Run
That's
periodically
correct.
next year.
That's correct. That is in the budget. And then when you look at the township's mission statement, the vision statement, and the values as adopted by the Board of Supervisors, we are complying and maintaining what those guidelines have been set out for. One of the items that the board looked at last year was a reduction in our healthcare services. Here we can see that the drop for 2025, we are close on that target. It was proposed around $215,000 savings. We're projecting out now around $185,000 in savings. There is a 9% increase in healthcare next year. And one of the interesting things is here, and I know it was pointed out, Mark, that we will add another line to this, because if we would have stayed with Divot that we had in 2024 and utilized them for 2025 and 2026, there'll be quite a huge difference there, because there were increases by Divot averaging between 9 and 12% each of those years. That would have taken place if we would have stayed with Divot, but I give credit to the entire board here. When I got here, they wanted to see competitive prices in healthcare, in insurance areas, and their hunch has paid off in a big way, and we'll continue to manage that as well. So
in other words, the actual delta between, if you look at the graph, is a lot more accentuated when you take into consideration what the actual cost would have been had we stayed with Divot.
correct. And because looking at the past, like looking back at 2023, and what would have been for 2024, because we're a smaller member there, we absorbed a lot of the hits for the bigger communities to offset their losses. So now basically we are responsible for our own program here, our own losses, which are very minimal. And I give a large credit of that to our staff too, is how they've managed that. The insurances, we know that they have gone up, but I think more of that is a reflection of what's taking place throughout the country, where individuals are losing, businesses are losing insurance, and the costs are going up, and being able to try to control that. And next year, we're probably going to look at a different way of how we can try to look deeper into this to see how competitive we can get into those insurance rates based on where we're at. But there were a lot of properties that the township had that were not insured previously that now we have placed on the roll. So now every piece of equipment that we buy, every piece of real estate that we buy are now insured, which again brings us up to where we are at. So that's a brief synopsis for this. And again, I want to thank the entire staff. I want to thank Bill, thank Jordan for their efforts to get this together here. I think at this time, Mr. Chairman, if you want to begin with the various boards and commissions on that. Well, do you have a sheet? Do you have a sheet on that, Craig?
I have the next tab I have here is on the general fund.
What I would suggest is before you actually start through that, we can hear from the various boards, commissions, fire departments, ambulance, the Spring City Library here on what their items they'd be looking for, if that's okay.
Okay, why don't we, I'll start with the first one on the list here. Is the Historical Commission, are they ready to present?
You just want a short brief, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please. Just the major points.
Yes, that was what I understood. I'm Marietta Geist, Chair of the Historical Commission. So what we're asking for in our budget, as you have probably seen, is a $5,000 increase for supplies for our historical event, our big 4th of July 250 celebration. We're asking for $9,500. We have some special events that we're hoping and we're planning on doing. We're asking for postage of $250. We're asking for our dues and subscriptions of $500 and our meeting and training $500. One thing I did not put on the list that you probably have is we would, in our big 4th of July celebration, we would like to find someone to video the whole thing so that it could be put on the website in its entirety. Also, which we had brought up Brian Wild and myself supporting, we would like to look more into the small covered bridge at the Independence Park over the little stream in honor of Clyde Scheib, our oldest historical person. And we also would like $5,000 for the sign at the Parker Ford Tavern. And I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill, have we included any of the requests from the committees, commissions in the budget?
Have we included any from no, the only one that was included thus far was the anything tied to a grant. There was one for the food forest down here in Independence Park that I believe that grant was applied for. So I put the cost in, should we get the grant. It may not come in, and if not, then that's would not be incurred.
Right.
But
So what is the total, what's the total amount that the historical commission is requesting?
Well, you had mentioned,
20,000.
it sounded like about 20,000 from what I have here. Yeah. Because I'll just reiterate, you mentioned a 5,000 increase for the July 4th. I think you mentioned up to $9,500. The video, you had mentioned about that, not with an amount, but just talking about the high points here. The bridge for Clyde Scheib that would be in Independence Park, and I know I have seen some renderings of what that might look like. And then
Well, we're hoping that there won't be much expense. You know, we're trying to get some things free. Brian's working very hard on that, so I didn't put any amount in there.
And then
It would not be done until next summer.
And then you also mentioned 5,000. Sorry. Yep. And then 5,000 for the Parker Ford Tavern sign. Right. I mean, so right there.
Then 19,000 right there, and then we don't know what the videographer would cost,
Yeah.
but it's 20 to 25,000.
Yeah. Is there any questions, comments?
You didn't want me to elaborate any more, did you?
No, I mean, those are the main
Sure.
items. Is there any other questions, comments on that? No? Okay, so what,
I'm sorry, Mary, did you submit the a written copy of that request to Bob and?
Yeah.
You did, okay,
yeah,
okay,
okay.
thank you.
And that is in the numbers right now?
yes, most of those numbers were, she had actually submitted 75,000 to roll over for the improvements to the Parker Tavern. Yeah, so I did not include that.
Mhm.
And
I think that was a placeholder last year.
yeah, and I thought the board was at a bit of a holding place on the improvements there. I think we're doing the doorway this year. We have them, since we have that 75 in there, we're trying to get that done this way. We have the gentleman scheduled to do it, it's just a matter of when he gets out there and do it.
All right. But again, the 19,000 plus, did you include that in
Yes.
You did. It is in the budget.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and just to go back to the door, I believe that door cost is like $7,500 to $8,000, approximately that
Less than
amount.
$9,000.
This
7,400.
7,400. Okay, that's about what I remember. And then we do have the grant or the funds that we received from the other historical commission, I think for 10,000. Yes,
Yeah.
11,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is going to be help to pay for the door. Yes. Right.
And just another quick thing, the sign for out in front of the park, we can actually get that this year if they're not backed up on their production at the company that makes them. But I did price
Okay.
those out a while back. And
Okay.
since we have that 75 in the budget this year, we might as well use some of it for that. Alleviate next year's burden.
Okay. I'm looking, think we could move on to the next presentation. Unless there's any other questions. Okay.
What is?
Yeah, is there any questions from the audience or anyone online? There's no one online? No. I'll go, let's do, the next presentation will be for EAC. Do we have someone here who, yes?
Hi, Elaine.
Hello, Elaine.
Benito. So, yes, my presentation is including some of the more expensive things on the budget, and we have some new things on the budget. So, for instance, we have a topic of special events. And that includes the pollinator garden maintenance, pocket forest maintenance, tree giveaway events, invasive plant removal days, and healthy yards presentations here at the Township Building. We're having one tomorrow night, by the way.
Mhm.
We invite you
Yes.
all. And then
Elaine,
Another-
I'm
yes.
sorry. How much for special events?
it's 3,000.
Okay.
And then we have an annual project that we like to do at least one a year. Our past ones have been the pollinator garden, the pocket forest. We have a grant in right now for the stormwater meadow. Included in that is redirecting the stormwater to the correct place, but there's a grant in for that.
I'm sorry, you applied for a grant or we got the grant?
It's in. Michelle and Mike Kissinger worked on it.
You submitted an application,
Well, that's what I.
right? So the grant has not yet been, it's not yet been granted, it's not yet been approved.
I haven't heard.
Okay, okay.
Are there matching funds required?
I don't remember. I didn't write it. Do you remember that? Yes, I don't remember. I didn't write it. But in any way, I was going to do that instead of the pocket forest. Well, we did the pocket forest instead. So this is a separate thing. And then we are, this year, the annual project is probably going to be partnering with a local watershed association, that would be Stroud Water Research Center, and to train citizen scientists in stream monitoring. So there are a few expenses in that, the training expenses and also some equipment that we would have to buy. It would be checking for sediment levels, stream width, pH and temperature, total dissolved solids, and turbidity and conductivity. So we're working right now to get that in process. And then the EAC would also maintain data logs to track environmental changes. We expect the EAC to do all the work here, EAC members and volunteers. So it would just.
Okay, Elaine, we have 20,000 set aside in the general fund
Mhm.
that would be used to have a company come in and do the testing. So
I didn't know that. Where is that? I didn't see it in our budget.
it's in the general fund budget.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Yeah, okay.
It's under the
So-
Environmental Advisory Council.
So I'm just
Okay.
wondering, is what
All
you,
right, so then I don't know how much this will cost, but that's good. We could use that for this.
If we could start putting some dollar numbers
Right,
against it, I
yeah.
wrote down some of the things that you just mentioned.
Mhm, yeah.
If you could highlight some of the bigger items. on
Yeah,
here.
but we kept having to cancel with Stroud because other things were going on. People were sick, so I don't have exact numbers.
well, I just want to make sure that we're not at cross purposes here.
Mhm.
So when you talked about training, equipment, data logs and the like, was that all for the Stony Run?
Yes. Mhm.
Well, that, again, if we're doing that through,
Well, I didn't, this is not on the budget, this, in the sense that this would be our project. We have yearly projects on the
Mhm,
budget. And so I thought, well, yeah, I didn't see this on the budget, so I'll just put that as a project. But I hear now we have money set aside for that. I understand. Okay, so
Okay.
we have other projects we'd like to do.
Great.
Mhm.
Which aren't that expensive, they're not that expensive. One of the things we would like to do, well, the Park and Rec is working with a community garden, but we'd like to maybe put a rain garden in somewhere or viparium buffer tree planting. Those are kind of the things that we're interested in, but we haven't worked out what our project this year will be. But that's our project focus. And then the professional development and affiliation expenses, that's not really new. Yes, it is. No, it is not. But it's gone up a little bit. That's for conference registration and memberships. For instance, We Conserve PA has an annual conference and 3 of our members are going, I believe.
Elaine, I believe, did you already go, or some of the members already go to a conference similar to that this
We
year?
go every year.
Every year?
Not this year yet.
so Elaine, how much for next year is the committee asking?
For that,
No, in
Yes,
total,
in total.
in total.
there's no total on mine and I don't have the actual budget in front of me. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, I'll just stand here. I'm not the budget person. $1,500.
1,500?
Oh, the
No.
total, 32,850.
Okay,
I didn't bring.
And Bill,
Sorry,
how
You
much
said
of that?
32,000?
32,000.
850.
Bill, how much of that have you included?
All of it. The 20,000 of that is for the Stony Run. So it's actually around 12,800 in addition to that.
Oh, I
Okay.
see. There's a whole, I didn't see this. I just got this tonight. Sorry.
So yeah, if you take 32,000
That would-
minus the 20,000, and this is for water testing,
Mhm.
and then you take out the 3,000 she had mentioned earlier, so you're down to approx. 9 left for other stuff, which you had mentioned here.
Okay.
Okay,
It's-
Basically, the line items that she gave me is what's in the budget.
Okay,
report,
good.
what she
Okay.
proposed.
Yeah, so, and then educational programs for EAC members. This past year, we used, I received I will receive this weekend, the Pennsylvania Master Naturalist, and I went through a year's worth of courses on that. And Monica went for the Master Watershed Steward Training. So that will really enhance our expertise and effectiveness. So that's on the budget too. And I'm sorry, I didn't put it together with money. I was just mentioning what we were going to do there. Professional, no.
Well, these all sound like
As far as
great.
I know, they're on the budget.
I mean, with,
Yeah.
with the 20,000 taken out of there, and like I said, for the 12,000, you mentioned the 3,000 for the special events. All of these sound like great projects, right? They
So
do.
too, thank you.
And with the educational
Yes.
pieces as well.
Uh-huh. And then also a new one that we have on the budget is working with a township professionals that come to our meetings, the engineer, the planner, that we sometimes have to pay for.
Yes,
So we
yeah,
put that on our
right.
budget. Also, let's see.
Which that cost would,
That's what I.
Be allocated,
consultants,
right,
yeah,
Bill?
the consultants and the grant writer and that kind of
Right.
stuff. Yes, right. So,
Right.
yes, right. And then, right. And so we're also, and I don't know exactly where this is on the budget. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to tell you what we're planning on doing in here is work with the HOAs and a partnership initiative with Chester County. And that's going to, we're going to be working with Rachel Griffith, Chester County's Sustainability Officer, and they have a sustainability action plan. And we're just waiting for an HOA that we can work with, but we have that all planned out. That shouldn't cost much money at all. That's just one of the things we're going to do. Just the EAC members. And then the other thing is working with the Stroud Research Center. Yeah, I think I've covered everything.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds,
All right.
sounds like great projects for this coming year.
We're very excited. about
Yes.
this.
we can-
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine.
Everyone. Can you hear me okay? Okay. My name is Molly Weigel. For those that don't know me, I'm also presenting on behalf of the EAC. So Bob, I'm not quite, and Bill, I'm not quite sure how what I'm going to show fits into what is written here in the budget. But what I wanted to bring forward to the board is there is an opportunity to bring forward rooftop solar for the township for the purpose of long-term cost savings for the residents.
This is the perfect time.
Okay.
to
Yes.
present.
Perfect. So quickly, I'm going to go over just an overview. I trust you all have had at least a chance to glance at it, but go over an overview, then we'll go into maybe some details, provide some background, the benefits, and then I will ask for a request to move forward with a request for, the RFP process and earmark funds for upfront costs. I'm not asking to make a decision to purchase solar panels tonight. I want to be very, very clear
We
on
can't, we
that.
couldn't anyway, so.
Okay,
Yes.
but just wanted to set expectations.
All right.
Okay, so why are we talking about rooftop solar and why now? So first, yeah, we're looking at an opportunity for rooftop solar on the Park and Recs building.
Public Works.
Sorry, why did I say Park and Recs? Public Works building. Again, this would provide long-term cost savings for the municipality and taxpayers. And why now? Well, there's two key factors, and I'll talk about them again in more detail, but as Bob alluded to, there are increasing energy costs across the board for everyone. And then also very quickly, we now have the retirement of the renewable energy tax credits. They're coming much sooner than originally anticipated. So now is the perfect time to take advantage and hedge against electricity price increases. So some of the background is with township approval. I worked with Get Solar and PA Solar Center. Those are two independent nonprofits. And PA Solar Center created a feasibility study for the township at no cost, which is not, if you were to go and get a feasibility study elsewhere, it's not cheap. So strategic benefits, long-term taxpayer cost savings, move towards resilience and energy independence, and then creates additional source of clean electricity in the region. So this project type that we're proposing, it would be a direct purchase of a rooftop solar. Sorry, that says upfront cost. It should say net cost. Sorry about that. I'll get into the upfront cost. But it's so 110,000. That's with the tax credit. So that's the 30% that comes from the Inflation Reduction Act for solar. But also East Vincent is an energy community due to a shuttered coal plant in East Pikeland. So that gives us an extra 10% credit. And I'm saying tax credit for the municipality will be a direct pay. So we would save 40% off the system, which again, really improves your ROI. So over 25 years, the township would be looking at saving 284,000 and more. You know, that's assuming a very conservative price increase on electricity. It's likely going to be higher than that. So you will save at least that. And keep in mind the cost of doing nothing. So when they look at the increasing electricity rates, if we were to do nothing, the township will pay, you know, approximately $418,000. So it's important to keep both of those numbers in mind. Timeline. So why am I here talking about this tonight? So if a project is not started by July 4th of next year, sorry, if it is started by July 4th of next year, and by started, that means construction started, then it can take as long as you need and you can still get those tax credits. If not, the system must be operational by December 31st of next year in order to get that 40% tax credit.
We don't want to pay taxes.
Sorry, I'm saying tax credit, but it's direct pay,
Okay.
a direct pay mechanism. So for any nonprofits, yeah. Sorry, I probably will say that throughout the presentation, just sub direct pay.
All right, duly noted.
The other thing I want to say is that net cost is without additional funding. So that's without grants or any other mechanisms. We may want to look at that. So real quick, again, I'm not going to go into detail, but if you want more information, as I said, why now? It's because there are rapidly increasing energy costs across the board, and then the changes to the tax credits. So delaying would result in these lost incentives. And so that strategic alignment, certainly we want to, as was alluded to earlier, supports township goals for fiscal responsibility.
Let me stop you for just
Sure.
1 second. Just have a question here.
Yeah.
Can you go back one more slide, please? So the cost and the savings, you received that from the two organizations you were working with?
Sure. This is from PA Solar Center that did the feasibility. Granted, we would want to vet this also
That's-
with when we go through. So we didn't put any RFP out. These are not, we don't have any quotes from any developers. This is a feasibility study. So yes, would numbers likely, you know, might be a little different, but this is a good ballpark. And they did do their calculations very conservatively.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
But yeah, don't take these numbers as
I'm
Cost.
not,
Absolute, yeah.
I worked these numbers up before for myself and even for other companies. And sometimes what you originally get is very optimistic sometimes. And
sure.
so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'll give an example though. The numbers they used when they looked at their increase in electricity prices was pretty conservative. It's more conservative than what we've used at work. It's more conservative than what we're actually getting solar panels installed in our home, and much more conservative than the two developers that I got quotes with. So,
Okay.
which is good.
Mhm.
I'd rather have the conservative numbers here.
Here,
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, so this is why solar right now. So it will be an 84.9 kilowatt solar system on the Public Works building, and that would offset, according to the most recent electricity bills for the past year or two or three. And I'm sorry, I know Cindy pulled them, so I can't remember how far back they went, but that would offset, you know, a little over 100% of the site's electricity consumption. That's good to give you a tiny buffer if you wanted to add anything on in the area. So milestones, like I said, a feasibility study is done. You should have received the actual feasibility study from PA Solar Center. Then we would go to the RFP process, developer selection, finalize the plans with them, permitting, installation. Some of you might know actually more detail than me. There might be some other milestones in there, but
Well, before we go any further, does this include any type of storage?
There's no storage, but I will talk about that.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and that's something we can discuss at some point, but
Mhm.
that does raise the cost significantly.
It
right?
does.
If that were to be added, I just know that from
Yeah.
personal experience.
But you can add that at a later date.
Right.
And the good thing is that the tax credits are not closing quickly on storage. So the tax credits on storage are good for the time being until 2033.
And we may not need it. The other thing is we'll have to consider that, but just keeping that in mind. Yes,
Yeah, but it's a good
Okay.
question.
yes, it is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Average lifespan of a panel is about 25 years?
No, that's when they're guaranteed to be, depending on the panel, like up to 95% or 93%. After that, I mean, you might go down to 91%, 90%. If they don't just drop off a cliff, so you can use them for many, many years beyond. They might not be as efficient as they were, up to 25 years.
And once the panel has reached its lifspan, what's the cost of disposal?
So we did ask that question. They can't give you an estimate right now for decommissioning. Bill, remember, we did ask that, but they said there's a lot of recycling and that is going to be cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. But that is something I highly suggest we ask all of the developers and get more information from the developers. Do they have programs? And go, ask this question with the due diligence process.
Thank you.
Sure. So again, here's the true upfront costs. So it would be $199,000. Again, you can see the incentives. That's the 88,000 is at 40% direct pay. So our net system cost is $110,702. Again, over 25 years, you have the total savings of 284,000, likely greater than, compared to the cost of doing nothing for the taxpayers. That's would pay out, we would need to, $418,000. And then you can see again from their feasibility study, they're showing annual savings in electricity. Payback period is 9 to 10 years. Again, that's without any additional grants or anything like that. The other thing I want to say that I didn't put in here is going through with PA Solar Center, they did identify that there was one meter that was not, that wasn't hooked up to anything, and they recommended, if we don't need it, to disconnect it because Pico has about a $50 charge per month. And so already, just by going through this feasibility study, they identified immediate cost savings for the township. Strategic benefits. So certainly aligned with fiscal responsibility of the township. It will provide positive visibility for the township, long-term taxpayer savings, supports energy independence. But the last two I want to speak a little bit about. As you may be aware, the Owen J. Roberts School District has the new STEELS curriculum, which is science, technology, engineering, environmental literacy, and sustainability. It's a mouthful, but it can provide educational opportunities. The school district is also going for grants right now for solar panels and trying to help get students involved in the process as well. But also the other thing I wanted to mention, what you alluded to for the battery storage is if the township ever in the future wanted to have something like a resilience hub, where in the area, if there is extended power outages, a resilience hub is where there is a central location, usually a municipal building. Sometimes it's community halls, where if you did want to get battery storage so that you would be able to have people come here, be able to use their medical equipment. We do have some vulnerable communities in our township. This is the first step, is first get solar panels, and then down the road, you could look at battery storage. So I wanted to mention that as well. And like I said on the bottom, the storage, they retain full tax credits until 2033. So there's time there. So I just thought of some, risks and mitigation. So certainly I don't have to go through all of these, but wanted to outline maybe, one thing I didn't mention, because we moved very quickly on the slide for the timeline. There is, in addition, a prohibited foreign entity clause in addition to the moving up of the timeline of the tax credits. So meaning you can't have components from China. So in the RFP, we will embed requirements for that. And this is across the board. I mean, these developers know that's what they need to meet. So that is just one of the requirements.
It's basically Buy America.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And there are components out there, but the advice we got is it would be better to move sooner, just because, you know, you've got supply and demand and you don't want to be waiting too long, and then you're up against that timeline and you don't want to be delayed by components. Yeah, so a budget, again, township can seek out grants. There's also various loan options. Again, we can look further into that, but I just wanted to get this information to you as soon as possible. Again, performance and maintenance. Certainly, we should go for multiple proposals, embed certain requirements, and use reputable developers. And then the last risk I had there was, you know, it can be a confusing process, but that's where the support from PA Solar Center and Get Solar have been really helpful here. So next steps, I'll go on the next slide asking for, I don't know if I need a motion for this, but I will give you a motion, proposed motion anyways. But then would be moving forward with the RFP process and then forward. So before I go any further, any other questions?
Well, I'll just say as a general comment, I love cost saving projects. I like them at work and I love them here. So just as a positive, I like this way of thinking. So I don't know that we can necessarily prove things. I think we still need to vet some things here.
For sure.
And so that's one of the things we want to do, but I love it. I love the idea a lot. So
Yeah.
like I said, anytime we can find ways to save money,
Yeah.
I'm all for these types of ideas. Yes, you have a question?
Before you do that.
Yeah.
Molly, from notice to proceed until completion, how many months?
Good question. I'm not sure because I think it'll vary depending on the developer, and we haven't spoken to the developers. Yeah, I don't have a really good feel for a project this size. I could say from personal experience, it's taken 3 months, but for something of this size,
More than 3 months.
I would assume so. So I would, you know, my only advice is if we think it's a good idea, I would like to move forward with the, you know, have any further discussions and then move forward with, again, the request for proposals and getting more information so that we can, you know, make a better informed decision.
Mhm. Okay. Sorry, Brian.
Mhm.
No, please.
Just a question on the technology. Are these the panels that are on the roof, or can they be on the side of the and on the side in the grass, let's say? And also, are these Tesla has these roof tiles. Is that a different product? So the roof tile isn't what you're proposing? Okay. And is there a reason?
Yeah, a roof tile. So our roof is in great condition. It's 7 years old. So the roof tile, if you needed a new roof and wanted to go, you know, go solar, that will be a good option. But right now we actually have a great roof, so there's no reason, and they are more expensive. And then these panels are not to be ground mounted. They're to be up on the roof. We didn't look at a ground mounted array just because it's part of the park. We knew that would be a longer process. You know, so up on the roof, they're kind of out of the way, was the reason why we looked at this option. Yeah, sure.
Actually, just as a comment, could you go back? I just want to, you had sort of a visual as to where it would, yeah, right there.
Yep.
So I know that doesn't show here, but if we think about the way the sun comes up, you know, going east to west, I believe that just because I looked into it myself and where this is positioned, I believe it would pick up a lot of sunlight, and you don't have anything around it that's going to be blocking the light. So I'm just thinking, even at this time of year when there's a lot less solar energy, that I would believe that, again, this is just me talking, that you would still pick up quite a bit of light for the solar panels.
Absolutely. And,
Yes.
and to give a little more background, the initial array that they gave, the initial design actually had panels on this building and the Public Works building to catch the south facing sun here.
Mhm.
But they found that it would actually be more cost effective when you put everything on one roof, and they were able to configure it in this orientation. So this was, the most cost effective option. Again, we want to vet that with the different
Yes.
developers as well.
Yes.
So I'll also just real quick in the appendix. So here you can see this is PGM. You can see their capacity prices increasing drastically, which is what we are alluding to. But if you wanted to see, here's the cash flow analysis. You can see the payback in 9 to 10 years. But you also see the SRECs. So the SRECs are the township would actually get paid. You will get some cash back for your renewable, their solar renewable energy credits. They do, again, they're being very conservative. They're hoping that SRECs will be renewed in Pennsylvania, but right now there's no legislation saying that they will. So you can see that's actually conservative, that they're going to zero out. That might change, and that would make our our payback even more favorable.
Well, do they do any kind of a structural study of the roof to make
Yes.
sure they did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Oh, sorry, did they or
Yes.
will they?
did they?
I don't believe anyone came on site, right? I think this was all through, but that's what the developers, that's part of their
All right,
process.
so we have to allow for at least the possibility that this might not be feasible in whole.
Sure, and then we
Yeah.
say, okay, we tried,
Okay.
or maybe we pivot and look at another option, but certainly that's not part of their feasibility study.
Okay.
So again, these are in the appendix, and you have these slides if you wanted to look into more details.
Well, before we have it, if we are to go down this route, before we would have an RFP prepared, wouldn't it be prudent to do a structural analysis to make sure we can put on the roof?
That's a very good question that I will need to
Yeah, I
refer
think
to
that'd
you
be
guys.
Advisable. So,
Absolutely.
because the argument, the RFP is, do it, give us the price. I'd rather know going in whether we can do it or not before we develop the RFP.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, please.
We can have a structural engineer look at the plans for this building
Mhm.
and tell us what the load is on this building, what we can take, which I believe is a lot less than what the snow load that is set on this roof. So we'll make sure we check on that.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, one other question, if I may.
Yeah. Yes.
Molly, is there something that we could work with? I know that PA Solar and that, would they stay around so that as that chart that shows, the cost savings and all that,
Mhm.
that there's a way that they could come in and do like an audit to make sure that we're meeting these areas or if we're running ahead or exceeding that? It
Mhm.
would just be something just to be
Mhm.
able to look at
Sure.
that,
Yeah,
because I think that's outstanding, the
Yeah.
chart that shows that. It'd be nice to be able to just audit that and say we're ahead, we're behind, or we're
Yeah.
right on target. And it also would allow the opportunity where if we wanted to expand that into other areas
yeah.
of the township.
So that was one thing I didn't mention. So we did ask if someone could be on the call, and certainly they weren't available at this time. But I'll certainly take that back and ask. But they're they've been great to work with and very helpful.
Okay. Molly, exceptional work. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, maybe the last, I'm sorry, this is taking so long. So I don't know if we do a motion, but, and maybe we can reword this, maybe the RFP is not the right terminology, but it's moving forward with that next step to go back to PA Solar Center
We'll
and say,
take care of this.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll definitely,
Sorry, I'm
I'm
jumping too
very,
far
very
ahead.
interested in this, and we'll definitely look into this more. And I want to go through the vetting process, but I
Sure.
definitely want to sort of accelerate this because I love the idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
As do I.
Yes, please. Yep, go ahead.
I believe when we were talking to them, there was also a maintenance cost for these.
Yep.
Was that yearly or what was the?
Yes, there is a maintenance cost, and you can see that in the O and M column. So that is still factored into your cost savings.
Oh.
And again, we would get that all spelled out by the developer. But this is their best guess
Is
on.
it the developer that comes out and does the maintenance on it? Or is there another company that would do that?
So again, that probably depends on the developer. Yeah, so some may have that in-house, some may, hey, we recommend this. So that's where we really need to vet and do our diligence, and
yeah.
which is where I'm more than happy to help. And that's also where PA Solar Center it will help with this.
Thank you.
Sure, good question. So, okay, thank you very
Yep,
much.
thank you.
The audience?
Any questions, comments? Okay, thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Molly.
Okay. Let's move to open space. Hello, Christine.
Hi, everybody. Chris McNeil, the Chair of the Open Space Committee. As you all, as the supervisors and Bob are well aware, there are a variety of projects that are being pursued with the Open Space Bond Act money. I just wanted to acknowledge that is something that we hope will come to fruition in some marvelous ways. But I'm not here to talk about that, obviously, because that's real estate and executive, but I just wanted to preface my remarks with that. We've proposed an extremely modest budget. Basically, if you look at it, for probably the lowest request, it's $2,000 of, township funds. And that would really be focused on any type of outreach work that we would be doing throughout the year, like mailings. If there were other types of conferences, like for example, 2 of us are going to a conference in a couple of weeks that Chester County is putting
Open space,
forward.
yeah.
And that is a free, no registration conference, but we'll actually be paying for gas, and we are carpooling to save money. But there are other conferences that may be of interest, like the Pennsylvania Land Conservation Organization, that we could go to their conference if it was not too far away. So there are some conferences that we would be interested in. And again, it's really a very modest budget. One of the things that working with Bob, we did do a cut on Cedar Woodlands, for example, and I know that Brian will bring that forward. But now that we own the property, and Bob and I have had discussions, and also our arborist has discussed this, we will need to have him go in. He's been in preliminarily with me. There are some trees, because of the ash damages that have occurred, that we will need to have some trimming and removal, and he would identify those trees. There are also, I guess I would call it like tulip trees that every so many years they really sprout up, and we may not want such a concentration. And in the middle of those tulip trees is another native tree that we would want to clear some of the tulips, because we would want to have more diversity in the woods. So we will be requesting, and it's coming through Park and Rec, because we are transitioning out of open space because it's going to become a park. But I just wanted to put a plug in for, this idea of working with John to make sure that, first of all, the woodlands are safe, and that he really has a wonderful way of working to create a sustainable forest. And I think that's something that's important. And of course, our Park and Rec Board will be helping to put the trail in over time. And of course, that's at an extremely low cost to the township through the volunteerism that we've been able to garner through Park and Rec. So I'm looking forward to that project coming online in a different way than talking about it and having boundary maps and pins made, and put in place. So I think that's an exciting new facility that will come online. But as you see with our own budget, it is extremely modest.
Okay.
Thank you,
Do
Chris.
you have any questions?
Nope.
Any questions from the audience? No. Okay, great. I'm glad I could be brief.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Well, I'll go right into Parks and Rec next.
Brian Wild, Highland Circle, Chair of the Park and Recreation Board. Our board is a 7-member board, as you know, but maybe some of the other people don't. And we're all volunteers. So I guess there's 2 parts to the budget. One would be the line item budget, and that's on page 15 of the packet that you have. Maybe we can go through that first. And then we could go through what's in our pipeline, kind of new requests that we carry forward each year. So for anyone that wants to follow along, it's page 15. So I'm going to ask Bill to pipe in here a little bit as well, but I'll start with the big number, the Independence Park construction. We have that at 3.2 million. And I just want to clarify that, and maybe even with Bill here. The Mako bid came in at 3.4 million. So there was 200,000. Is that what's in the engineering services?
No, actually, I just kind of expected that some of it would probably overrun into the 2027, just with potential delays and other things that happen that we may not get that 3.2. We likely won't get all of it. We have to get enough to match our grants. And I think, more than that, we have more than enough. Than
So the amount that came through for the entire project was 3.4 million.
I believe, yes.
Yeah. So shouldn't that number be 3.4?
Well, that's what I was saying. I was going to include the last 200,000 in 2027.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm
Gotcha.
saying. I don't think that would be incurred
Okay.
next year. Trying to be realistic, but you never.
The other comment I have, it is a big number, and I appreciate everybody's work on this. But I didn't see any contingency fund. And typically on a project, you would have the contingency fund would be from the township. It wouldn't be from the general contractor, in this case, Mako. So Mako isn't responsible for putting a contingency fund in. We would have to be responsible for that so that we don't go into overruns. We might want to consider a 10 or 15% contingency fund. Yeah. For change orders, just to keep, we don't want to go over budget, and we don't don't want to delay. So I'm suggesting, Bill, that maybe that's a thought. And it's kind of a question for our engineering group, because I'm a little surprised. We should have maybe included that.
Well, let me just say something about that. Just on contingencies like that, I'm generally not a fan of those. And the reason why is we've already done a lot of work here to go and put in what we think is going to be the cost. And to say that we need a higher amount because we're just not sure, I'm generally not, I'm not for that. What would happen is if we do have a change order that comes through for something that does happen, then that becomes an exception to the budget. That becomes a variance, and then we know what that is. But right now, I think we've already done our best work to come up with what this cost is, and I wouldn't want to put another cost on top of it, saying that, to me, I think we have to go with what we think what the work that we did that to go into this to determine what that cost is. I think we should go with that number and not put the contingency. But I understand your points, and
Well, typically a company would put, let's say.
Yeah, Bill, I mean, Brian, hang on for a second.
Sure,
No,
Mark.
let me disagree with my friend. Anytime you have a project, the owner typically has a set aside for contingency. A contractor, when he bids, has a contingency. Things he has to cover himself that he can't pass on to the owner. So not to have a contingency, I think, is a mistake. It would be a terrible mistake. I mean, it defies every basic notion of project management from the owner's side. It's there in case you need it.
okay,
Because, I mean, look, we know things. Most projects do not go forward without some changes. That's just the way it works. And the changes are typically for unforeseen conditions. Sometimes we change our minds, we might want to do something differently. You have to allow for that. So to your point, Craig, with regard to what the project is right now,
Mhm.
that should not change. And in other words, we shouldn't be expanding upon it. But we should have a contingency fund to cover the unforeseeables. And typically that is 10 to 15%.
Well,
Mr.
okay,
Chairman,
go ahead.
if I may.
Yep.
Again, I'm not a big fan of tipping your hand to say, here's a contingency fund, because your contractor, if they know there's a contingency. We are very heavy in this budget with inspections. On what we're looking at here, $200,000. We're not going to hit $200,000 in inspections. So I'm looking at having any contingency funds in there, looking at that. But contingency is change orders and that need to come past the board. So, and I'm not a big fan of, there's a 15% contingency and then they chew that up. The board's not aware, and then the final project total cost comes in at like 3.6. The board's like, well, wait a minute, we approved 3.4.
No. I think maybe I wasn't clear, Bob. Forgive me. It's an amount we would have set aside in our budget. Our budget.
Right, and that's why we've bumped up our inspection fees to cover that. We are not going to hit 200,000. I mean, that's
I
200,000.
think what Bob is saying, that number is already high.
The number sits in there. It's just, I'm not a big fan of tipping it, saying, here's your contingency. fund."
Yeah.
No, it's not their contingency. That's just the point. It's not their contingency.
our
But
contingency.
it becomes,
Yeah.
Okay, I understand that,
So,
but my
so
experience goes to, if they
Okay.
know how much contingencies there,
here's what a rough number on the contingency, I'd say it's minimum 10, maybe 15. So we're looking at $320,000 for the 10% contingency might be a prudent way to go.
Some of this also though goes back to the engineer who designed this, because there was a lot of soil samples that were taken, the rock and a lot that goes back there. There's an errors and omissions that comes up too as well, that we're just not going to make change orders because the contractor said so. There was due diligence that was done by our engineering firm. Well, they're going to be held just as accountable. And that's why I'm a big fan of an independent inspection company, because a lot of the engineers use their own inspection companies and they're never going to call out their own engineering design flaws. I understand where you're coming from. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, it's like Mark said, it's good project management. We're not planning to spend it, but it's a like the word says.
My hope is that they'll come to us and say, here's some change orders that actually will save you money.
Ed, what do you?
Well,
That's, yeah, I mean, we could have a value engineering clause in the contract, but I think we're talking two different things, right? We're not talking about a situation where the contract comes along and says, hey, how about we do this? It's going to cost you more money. That's not what Brian's talking about or what I'm talking about. We're talking about things that go bump in the night that we haven't anticipated. No matter how thorough an engineer is in doing his subsurface investigations, it's never going to be 100% accurate. So if there are variations that were not detectable, the contractor's not going to eat those. That's on us. So, I mean, it's for budgeting purposes.
Well, that's true. This is a budget.
I would like to just make a comment, and that you guys have had your say here, and I disagree with this, and I think this, what I have seen this be called as a slush fund sometimes because it allows for scope creep and other things, and I think what you should not bake into your budget too much fluff, and I think that's what this is here. Is if we're talking about a 10 or 15% bump up. I think we've already gone through here and made these determinations. As Bob has mentioned, there's already some contingency here already for one of the line items. I am not really a big fan of putting too much fluff or cushion in. I think we should stick as close as we can to what we think are the actual estimates. And again, these are estimates. There's no time at any point for any budget that it ever comes in 100%. So let's just be clear about that right now. So I think we stick with what we have here, and if there are change orders that have to come through, then we deal with it accordingly. But I don't think we should purposely put in fluff amounts in here of 10 or 15%, and I would disagree that that's good project management.
Okay.
Well, my role is to bring it up. I'll let you guys decide what you'd like to do.
I've been doing project for over 30 years. I can tell you, Craig, it's
I have too.
It's perfectly normal and it's customary. All right. we respectfully disagree.
Should I move on?
Yes, please.
Well, let's go to something simpler. The attendance at the Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Society Annual Conference. If you look at the line item down there, meetings and conferences, we haven't gone to many conferences in the past. This one is an annual conference. It's in March. It's in Manheim, Pennsylvania, which is, I think, near Lidditz. So it's close. We could do it on a day trip. Whereas last year it was in, I think, Hershey, so we'd have to stay overnight. It wasn't real practical. And Bob has been kind of mentoring us and saying we should, I'll let you take the stand here, that we should maybe keep abreast of what's going on and make contacts at these conferences.
Mr. Chairman, I agree 100%. The more we can continue to give those tools to our boards and commissions with these conferences that are very.
Yeah, I
helpful,
agree.
we should fund those.
Agreed.
I agree on the continuing education. Yeah, and I have in the previous years, as we've talked about that, and I think it's a good thing to continue.
Excellent.
Yes.
right,
Brian,
so-
can we cut to the chase just momentarily, if you don't mind?
Pardon me?
What is it? Let's cut to the chase. What is the total amount that Parks and Rec is requesting for 2026?
It's, well, on the line item budget, which we're talking now, we haven't done, we haven't
What's the
had it-
total amount that you're
minimum 3.4 million.
No, take out Indy, please,
Okay, take out Indy.
please.
So it's roughly 260,000. Indy was 3.2 million. The total budget was 3.46 million. If you subtract the two, we get roughly 260,000. Now that includes well, there's another part to Independence Park we haven't talked about, which is the engineering services for 200,000. Did you want to comment on that, Bill?
Yeah, they're just included with your overall cost. You have the contracted services actually for the construction company that builds it. Then you have your engineering, site construction, coordination and inspections along the way.
Look, let me just, when we're talking about the overall Independence Park project, construction, engineering, and inspection. That's coming out of the general budget, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is not part of the Park and Rec budget.
It is allocated to Parks and Rec only because we don't have.
It's okay, but
capital.
it's really the general fund obligation.
Yes.
Okay, so let's confine ourselves, Brian, please, to what your committee needs.
Yeah.
For 2026.
So that was the second part of this presentation. We have to go through that. And that's the budget request for new funding. And I've got a handout for that, if it's okay to.
They already have it. I already gave that to them.
They have this
Yes.
handout? Oh, excellent.
It's in their booklets.
Okay, so we only need to really go through the top two pages. The rest is backup. So these are the budget requests for the 2026 fiscal year, including carryover items from 2025. This was based on park rankings. The park rankings were established by Bob, and it's based on the direction that he felt that the BOS wanted to move, the Board of Supervisors wanted to move. So we got our priorities as Independence Park Phase 1 was ranked #1. And Park on the Ridge was ranked #2. Is that correct, Bob? Do you guys need a handout? I can give it to you if you don't have.
Again, if we're talking about,
New requests.
no, if we're talking about construction, engineering and the
No.
like, what are we talking about?
Well, I'm going to go through it right now. It's on, we're going through this document here. You guys,
This one.
We have it.
you got it? Okay.
First
So-
page.
So the #1 ranked project was to research, first of all, Mark, are you okay? You see it?
He's got
I
it.
got it.
Got it.
Okay.
Yes.
Resurface tennis pickleball court at Park on the Ridge. That's #1. Previously, last year, the #1 project on on Park and Rec was to resurface the trail in the back here on Park on the Ridge. So that was done. So we took that out, that number one priority. And this was the number two priority, now moves up to number one. So resurface the tennis pickleball court was 130,000. We had a bid on that last year. There's decay and curling of court surfaces. There's some photos in the back. Those are photos from last year, so it's gotten a little, well, it's gotten worse. So that would be the first suggestion, and Public Works is on board with this. They feel that this is a high priority for them as well. The next one is the new basketball hoops with resurfacing at Park on the Ridge. The reason that that came in second is that you can kind of do the same. You could resurface the tennis pickleball and then at the same time resurface the basketball hoops. The resurface costs were $60,000 and to get a net rim and a post. And basically this is to make it a men's league ready basketball court. Right now it's good for grade schoolers, it's good for high schoolers, but these leagues, they have certain requirements and those requirements are quite high. And this would be an upgrade on what we have today.
Brian, I'm sorry for interrupting. Please forgive me. We're spending $3.4 million over the next year, next 18 months.
Sure.
If you add up all these numbers, you're over $1 million.
Right.
No,
No, and I agree.
no. I mean, Brian, what does the committee need
I
for
think
next year? The committee. Okay, this is a wish list.
that's a wish list.
No. There's a difference between the money that we'll need for park improvements on the one hand and what your committee needs to operate as a committee on the other. What does your committee need? How much?
So just from an operating basis.
Yeah.
You don't want to do the resurface of tennis pickleball.
It's not a question of if we want to, but where's the money going to come
Well,
from?
Let me give you an example here. Right now in the budget, as we see it right now, 3.46 million. You take out the 3.2, you take out the 200,000, now you're down to 64,000.
Right.
Okay, so then there's a couple line items here. Is that what we're saying that you need for?
Right, that's basically it. If you take out Independence Park, which I wasn't planning, I didn't do that, but if you do the calculations like you just did, yes, it'd be in the $60,000 range.
How much? I'm sorry, how much?
I think you said 60,000, right?
There's 64,000 that would be remaining
64,000 for what?
in the current.
Yeah, and
And everyone, we're talking about what the committee itself needs to operate as a committee. Not money that the township will spend on park improvements.
And one of the things we could say, we just mentioned was the going to conferences and
Sure.
educational purposes. So there's an example to what Mark is talking about.
right,
So
so,
beyond that, right?
May I-
Mark?
Yeah.
What's
May I
what's
chime in
beyond
just a
that? Yeah,
second as
go
well,
ahead.
I'll go through it. Now we're going to go back to this. We'll go back to the line item. Start with materials. Park maintenance supplies and materials, for Park and Rec supplies, for park maintenance days. These are maintenance items that we would need to maintain the trails and the parks and working alongside Public Works. Bill, is that correct?
Okay, let me stop right there. So right now, last 2 years, we've had 18,000. The run rate right now through 10 months is about 4.5 thousand. So why would we need 18,000? Again,
Well, if we wanted to do any improvements, which would be like steps, for instance, improving the ropes, just any general improvements to make the trail safer, we could do that.
okay, well. Sort of vague. I mean, it sort of goes back to the wish list here thing again. Bill, when you put this together, was it just based off of?
that plus in talking with Jason and certain upkeep items on the park as far as certain the benches, they would like to replace the wood on those next year. It's getting pretty old and worn out.
Okay,
And other items like that along that there's the included in this is the wood chips for the around the playground area and the little workout areas. Every year they get replaced and replenished. There's a number of other items like that yearly maintenance on the parks that get lumped into these materials.
And this is just a general point. If I look at this line item and there's a couple other ones that have a little, I'm not worried about the smaller numbers. I'm just looking at the ones a little bit more significant, like this materials one.
Yes.
But if I do a run rate, that gets out for the rest of the year, it's 5.5 thousand for the year. The only year we came up close to 18,000 was 2024. And so I understand what you just mentioned. There's a couple things that you're
Right.
considering in
Yeah,
here, but right. Okay.
It can be trimmed. I'm not saying it's 100% accurate. I just,
Yeah,
it's a
Get it.
ballpark.
Sure.
And if you feel that should be brought down, we certainly can.
I just worry about what I've seen when I looked at the budget. I saw a couple of them where there's a couple of line items where they're exactly the same as last year, but the run rate right now through 10 months, if I just extend that out and annualize it, it doesn't really come to it. So that's why when I see some of these, I'm going to be asking some more questions. And that's like, you gave me a good answer here and I get that, but I just want to make sure that some of these budget amounts don't have too much what I come back to fluff. That's my term.
Right, Bill,
Yeah.
what do you have included right now for Park and Rec as a committee in the budget?
For Park and Rec as a committee,
Well, the cultural events, for sure.
I'm sorry?
The next item on there is Park and Rec's cultural events.
Community day and
Community Day,
Right.
grand opening of the Indy Park for next year. We're planning an introduction with the Veterans Center, Southeastern Veterans Center. We're doing the Rugged Indy, and we're planning on more programming kind of nature events that are gonna go.
I don't
into-
see Rugged Indy in your 15 items, unless I'm missing it.
We're on this page here, the second line item on cultural civic events.
Sorry.
I- I-
247,
I don't know.
247.
I have no idea what it is.
Here, I'll come. You got
Yeah,
it?
if you come up, please. Thank you. Come up here. If you want to, you can come up here if you want to help out, right, for what you're looking.
No, if you have it, just I'll look at your shoulder.
Well, I think it's better I just give you a handout.
Maybe,
One second. Yeah, this is a little bigger.
this one, right, yeah, this is the one, I think this one,
What page is that?
well. If we're looking, this is the, right here. Right here, so
All
I
right,
have
it's on the
it,
book. Got it.
yeah, it may not be in the book, but if you look at this one right here, the one that you received electronically,
Mhm.
right there, you can, if you want to look over my shoulder.
Yeah.
Right,
247 is.
Okay.
these are the most current ones that we had received just recently, yesterday.
So as I was mentioning, we're on line item 247. And that's the one-time use of supplies, entertainment, attractions,
I know what you're meaning.
costs associated with special events. And we're planning to do more programming of special events, especially when Indy Park opens up. So we're going to have a grand opening there. We're going to have other different events. We have Community Day and we have the Rugged Indy, as you can see there.
Yep.
So these other programming events are upcoming. And so we haven't thought them all through. We've got another 6 months to get them through. So that's the line item 247 is 20, and you can see the run right there was
When he means,
14,000.
let me just clarify one thing. When he says line item 247, what he really means is referring to the GL account, the accounts that we use.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
I'm not gonna-
that's what it means. Okay.
Brian, without intending to get too deep in the weeds, $1,000 for advertising and printing. What did you guys incur for the Indy run this year alone?
I'm not sure, but that was something that Bill and I were looking at for special events. It might have been, yeah, posters that we were doing,
Say it again, please.
posters, public meeting signs printing for the park.
All right.
Um,
All right, I see. all
And
this.
then you've got communicate, if you want to go through them all, the
No, I
communications.
mean,
But I'll be honest, I don't want to go through the
No,
smaller
we-
thing. Some
can
of
see it.
these, I can look at the run rate, just visualize it. Some of it's a little bit higher, but I'm okay. I'm more concerned about the bigger numbers. So I think we've hit most of it.
Yeah, and you can certainly modify them to your, I mean, I'm giving you suggestions here on what to include. This is kind of a working session, I take it. So
Like there's a
maybe-
line item there that's 10,000. Okay, it wasn't in the budget last year. There's been no actual run rates. It says capital outlay minor, so that one's a little bit more significant and there's a description there.
And that's with the grant for the food forest right here in the park.
Right.
So that's a $10,000 grant that we're applying for and we could get. And we also have another grant, and I don't see the engineer here, for the public restrooms. Bob, you're aware of the grant that Pinoni is working on for the public restrooms?
That's correct.
So if this category here, capital outlay minor, is, as Bill suggested, for grants that we are going to use, this would also be one
That's
that's in the
correct.
works. So, and that was for 250,000.
Brian, bit by bit, please. All right, let's take some bite-sized pieces. Let's go back to the 10. Is that grant matching or just without matching funds?
I'm not quite sure. Yeah, we
Right,
applied.
we applied for it. Okay. All right, look, so Bill has this right now in our current budget. Okay,
Yes.
right. And
But again, he doesn't have the,
well, let me finish.
okay.
We hold the line on taxes for the next 3 years, at least for 2026, based upon what we have here in the current budget. So when I compare this with your wish list, I don't know if it's going to be a prudent use of our time right now, folks, to go through the wish list, because at the end of the day, it's a budget buster.
True. And if you recall last year, out of all the wish lists, we picked one item, and that was to repave the Park on the Ridge, which was done. So we typically take one or two items from the wish list and move on them, and they're typically high maintenance items like resurface the tennis pickleball. So, but if that's not, on your view right now, then we won't include it.
No, didn't we have this in last year's budget?
We did, and I think as part of this, and maybe I can make some clarity of this. What's been asked is kind of the wish list. That's what we want. And then you pretty much plan these out over the years. I don't think, and I won't speak for you, I don't think you're expecting every single project
Oh,
to be
no.
funded this year. No.
No.
So
This is
but
what's in
there's-
the pipeline.
Exactly. So I think it's on the radar. There's also, the municipal complex fund that also some of these things can be funded from. I've spoken to Joe about this, just as with Cedar Woods and People's Park. I talked to Joe about the open space fund in the statute of whether or not you could use certain dollars from there to make improvements. So I think probably at the next meeting, we'll have conversation with Joe being here to ask him those points. Not that we want to take those funds down, but to me, these are things that we can fund and make some of these things happen in compliance with the statute, but also too with the dollars that we have, because as part of this building here with the municipal complex, we have to start making this handicap accessible.
Right.
So I mean, it's
right.
these things,
True.
but are we gonna want all these things done overnight? We just don't have the dollars
No, we
to
don't,
do
we
that.
don't.
And a lot of these are carryover from last year, Mark.
Yeah.
That's why they look a little familiar. So
Right.
There's,
So Brian, at this point, in terms of need, the top need is resurfacing the tennis and pickleball court.
I would think so.
Okay.
With Public Works support.
So
So it's kind of Park and Rec and Public Works.
this is where we get into looking at some of these line items, Bill, and seeing if there's ways that And this, I'm not saying we fit it in, but I'm just saying for right now, if some of these line items on the overall budget could be trimmed because they may not have sufficient detail to support, the budget line item right now, because maybe it's a rounding up or it's a line item or it's a amount from last year. There's a potential that if we had to try to find a way to fit in $130,000, is that a possibility? Because I do have some notes of things that I saw were sizable, in the budget this year that I was very much questioning whether some of these should be pared down a little bit. So, for example, let me go back. I sort of just did on the general fund, I just sort of just did and we are in that right now as we're talking about Parks and Rec. We're in the general fund here. If I could, yeah, go ahead. I think I can make it quick. Just let me make it quick. So just as an example here, we have two line items on, this is related to the repair to Hallman Mill Road, the 300,000, but I think that has replicated the last 2 years. And then we have the new F550, that's the 150,000. So right there's 450,000. So I would like to ask you right now, just take a double look at those two items right now, see if we can pare that down. And if that is true, we might be able to fit in the 130,000 in for Parks and Rec. I just would like you to take a look at that.
Great idea.
That should be quick enough here.
Right, it's
Because we
not
got to
for-
get to others.
It's not for Parks and Rec. This will be a general fund obligation, okay?
Yes,
Right,
that's right.
okay. So,
But we're talking about the budget and we're trying to show some fiscal discipline. And that's why I'm saying, just let's look at some of these numbers here. If some of these have a little bit of extra in it, sometimes when you do a zero-based budget, you're supposed to outline, specifically, the things that are in that amount. I think some of this has a little bit probably more in it. So what we can do is I'm asking Bill to look at this, and because if there is some changes that we do want to make here, this is where we start looking at some of the large line items and if we have to possibly change the budget. That's why I'm asking for this.
Craig, I think on Holman Road, that project is currently underway.
Yeah.
I highly doubt that project will be punched out by the end of the year. So I think that's why we're showing those dollars in the actual 2026 budget.
But let's take a second look at it because it's 300,000 for the last 2 years. And I think the actual run rate is way below that.
Gotcha.
So these are
Will
just
do.
things that I just saw
Absolutely.
at a high level coming down, the biggest items. And I thought these are things to look at.
Bob, how much of the project on Holman Road do you think we finished this year? What percentage?
It'll be 100% finished this year. Should
Okay.
be.
All right.
Should be.
If that's the case, then right there's your,
Yes.
you have 2 more months.
Our hope is that it would be punched out by that time, whatever repairs, and
All right.
if we can get it done this year, we'll get it done this year and then paid out, but I'm not sure we're gonna pay this out fully.
And in this year's budget, we have it set up for
But then-
300,000.
Well, hang on. So whatever's not paid out for the work this year will be rolled over in the next year?
That's correct.
Okay. So to Craig's point,
Gotcha.
if we've, poor choice of words, please forgive me, if we've double accounted for the $300,000, then we have $300,000 that basically is going to be unearmarked
Understood.
that we can apply toward one or two of these items.
Got it.
Or one of these items, and if we can revisit this and at an appropriate time.
Yeah.
A contingency that we're going to need for.
That's a good one.
Got it. Will do, Craig.
Okay, thank you.
All
All
right.
right.
Do you want to have me wind up? I think I'm pretty well set. I've given you the pipeline. You see all the projects that we would like to do. If you get $1 million or $2 coming into the township for whatever reason, we'll spend it for you.
We're always trying to look for revenue.
Yeah. So is there anything else, Bob, you want me to? Okay.
Hmm.
All right.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, yes, please.
Ryan, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, I think one thing you do need to keep in mind, depending upon what the priority is of the township, a lot of the facilities that need to be what we would call in the business rehabilitated would be eligible for matching money, as well as the fact that we still want the children's playground and the pickleball courts and the entrance plaza for Independence Park. Now, the applications for money get granted us at the end of 2026, which wouldn't be brought into being until 2027.
Right.
Those are due in the first quarter of 26. So I think the board needs to make a decision. I mean, you have our recommendations from Park and Rec, but for 2027 going into 2028,
I know what you mean. Yeah.
we need to make some clear direction about, are we going to get the children's playground? The plaza that will be on the other side of the restrooms that the ambulance is doing, and the pickleball courts for Independence Park? Or are we going to have a park project that would focus on the rehabilitation of facilities here, new construction or rehabilitation of facilities? That's your call. You have the numbers, but I think that you need to plan ahead here regarding the grant application so that we do have a flow of improvements happening over time.
Great point.
With the
and-
matching money.
And I was at the Park and Rec. I know it was discussed there, and it's not specifically applicable to this year's budget, but I do understand what you're saying, because we do need to plan for this, and we do need to determine some good cost estimates for those items that we would like to have at Independence Park, so we can make
We
sure we
do
get
have
the appropriate, yes, and I agree.
Yeah,
We
but see,
do.
but the point I'm trying to
Yes.
make to you all is that we have to start having meetings with the county or the state. We've already identified a new potential funder for the fencing around the multi-use field. So the thing is, you have to give us a direction, is what I'm trying to tell you. Are we rehabbing back here at the park, or are we going to move forward with the playground and the pickleball courts and the plaza that's going to interface with the bathrooms that the ambulance is going to put in? And we need to make an application, and we have to start talking to the funding agencies, just letting you know. And this is 27, 28, but we have to plan now.
I
Okay,
completely agree with you. What we'll do is we'll side this for right now, and we'll make sure we get this on
but
the
you need
agenda.
to
So
discuss it and keep
Yes.
it going.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're going to miss a funding year.
yes,
And of course, we haven't taken advantage of the funding for Independence Park since 2019.
this,
So we're kind of due, and we're showing performance. So we do, hopefully we'll be showing our funding agencies performance, which was the thing that was hurting us. We couldn't apply. So let's just try to keep that
let's
in mind.
schedule
okay?
appropriate time to continue this discussion. And
Yes.
you're right, I agree. And hopefully we don't have to wait until the Parks and Rec meeting to continue the discussion,
So,
but
you know, you
right.
have the numbers. You
Yes.
know that what the two priorities are.
Right.
You know, you could ask us, we were told what the priorities were. If you
Mhm.
want our opinion, we can give it to you. But
Mhm.
we were told what the priorities were, but it's up to you.
Okay,
Okay, but I
Yes.
just need to
Yes.
really put that forward
that's a good point.
strongly to you all.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What I would like, is there any other questions right now on Parks and Rec? Any other presentations so far? I just want to keep going here. Everyone's making some great contributions here. I would like to, if anyone, unless anyone disagrees here, I'd like to move to the Spring City Library presentation. Is there anybody here to present? I don't think so. Okay, so let's move on to Friendship Ambulance.
Good evening. How are you?
Good evening.
I appreciate the opportunity again to present. This has been a wonderful forum the last couple of years that we've partnered and gotten a lot of things out. The agenda for tonight is basically what we've presented last year. And that's trying to find a funding source with our municipal partners that also gives back to the residents. And that comes in the way of the solicitation of the membership, right? So other municipalities that we've already partnered with, and we'll get into it shortly in this real brief slide point, is finding a way, whether it be through, some kind of EMS fee, to pay that membership fee to relieve the residents of some of the ambulance bill expenses. I mean, we're talking $2,000, $2,200 bills for heart attack victims and stuff, and insurance reimbursement is horrible. So when you're dealing with these high deductible policies on these copays, you're often finding out that the individual is now stuck with, $1,000, $1,500 bill. And if if the municipalities, and again, Upper Providence and Collegeville are two that have kind of bought into the system, this is our second year with them, it kind of gives that 100% coverage to the resident, right? And we've kind of added a twist, and we'll get into that a little bit, but the twist is that, you know, if the township decides to offer that fee and it's 100%, you know, $45 is the number we're going to use times whatever household. We've included this little twist where if you're anywhere in the township, so, you know, instead of living at 123 Apple Lane and you decide to go to the Wawa and God forbid you trip and you twist your ankle on the curb or break it, you're in the township. So you're still covered as a resident, no matter where in the township it may be. So we've kind of offered that back. So I'm going to go briefly through the slide. The first thing to recognize is, you know, Friendship Ambulance probably has one of the newest fleets in this region. The oldest vehicle we have is a 22. The newest is 6 months old, and it's the one that's actually serving the Spring City, East Vincent area. So there's clarification from last year, just so we're understanding that Friendship Ambulance is 100% a nonprofit entity. We're a 501c3. We have been that since our establishment in 1946. This basically gives you an idea of the municipalities that we've served and cover. And East Vincent, again, is the second busiest township that we serve, you know, behind Upper Providence. This is the 5 municipalities that we serve primarily and are physically based at on one level or another. And just to be fully transparent, these are the contributions that we received last year from these municipalities and also coming into this year. The one thing to note is Rochford Borough isn't a direct contribution. That's us submitting a capital expense that totals up to $40,000, whether it be some kind of a medical equipment or whatever. So they do a capital expense type purchase for us, and then they pay that value. This is the big thing that we're talking about. So East Vincent Township specifically, on the mailings that we send out, has about 11% return. Out of the 12,000 mailings that we send out to all of our areas, we're getting a real sour return, right? So it comes out to about $5.41 on the returns that we're getting. So we're receiving back on 12,000 pieces of mail about $65,000. And that includes all the municipalities that we served. And that's why the other municipalities, again, Upper Providence, Collegeville, kind of bought into this idea of if we can introduce a fee somehow, I hate to use that naughty word tax, but a fee somehow for emergency services, we can then buy our residents, you know, this contribution for the ambulance. When you break it down, we're talking about $45, basically $4 a month. I don't know anyone sitting here wouldn't want to pay $4 to escape $1,000, right? So that's the big thing to look at. So earlier I heard a different census as far as the number of households. I think it was 2,857 was up in the on the initial presentation by Bob. So that number would change. The 109 would change to whatever the 2,857 times 45 would be. I think that comes out to about, I don't know, 126, maybe somewhere around there. But that would be the recommendation or the contribution that we'd be looking for. And again, that covers all your residents, all the households. And it's important to make sure you understand that all sets the expense for the ambulance, right? So this area's got an older community, and we're going to get into some of the stuff that I showed you last year, which is lost revenue. So when you're dealing with an older community, you're dealing with a lot of Medicaid or Medicare type insurances, and the government's very, very clear about contractual agreements and what you can and can't charge. So anyone, for example, that's got a Medicaid, even though the heart attack victim may have a $2,000 bill from the heart monitoring and the medication and everything else we're giving them, Medicaid only pays us about $410 on that, and we have to accept it. There's just no other way around it. That is it. There's no other way. So this is actually East Vincent Township from 2024, and you can see the red. So our total uncollected debt between contractual write-offs from what the government's told us and people who just didn't want to pay their bill, it was $459,000 of uncollected debt. And our total number for last year from all the municipalities that we served was about 2.2 million of uncollected debt. Again, that's people who either kept the check, people who didn't want to pay their bill, or all the contractual write-offs that the government told us that we just can't bill anybody. This is the first half year for East Vincent specifically. This is June 30th was the ending date of this year, and we're already at $176,000. The reason why that membership is important, again, because it offsets some of this expense. By having that, it's almost, the need for write-off where the deductible levels and the balance written off for the bad debt write-off would obviously shrink down. In your book, this is just a bad picture for this, but in the book that was presented, you have a better, clearer picture of our budget for 26. Our budget's about $3.2 million. And that's obviously not including any of the new construction for the township that we're going to be getting involved with hopefully very shortly here. The biz expense to note is that, any one community that has an ambulance physically based from us in it, it's costing us about $601,000 for a 24/7 paramedic unit to be on staff 365 24/7. It's about $601,000 in salary payroll alone. That does include other stuff that's involved with that. But the bottom number is about, again, about 3.1, not including the proposal for the new station here in East Vincent. This is what the new station will look like, folks. Giving you a little piece if this happens to go through. This is the $3.8 million that includes the bathrooms that we've agreed to put into Independence Park. So this is kind of what it would look like. It's the building alone is about 3.5. It's not a huge building. It's only about 3,600 square feet. It's 2 bays, so it has the ability to house a second unit with the growth of the township and planning for that. And some amenities that are normal, sleeping quarters, showers, and then there's a conference room right inside the main lobby. That way, if Park and Rec or someone else wanted to have meetings there, it's obviously open for them to use and come into our building. This isn't a great picture. This is kind of a mock-up from the architect, but this would be the bathrooms that would go into Independence Park as a part of our agreement, for having us in the township and committing to us to long term. And that is it. So again, the proposal basically is finding a resource and a way to help the residents kind of relieve themselves of the insurance inabilities of paying, and that's the key. That's the key. So if there's any consideration, that would be the big thing, because it's important to try to reconcile some of the offset for the people that are enduring these high ambulance bills. There's nothing we can do to get around it. We're not technically tax-based funded. So this is where this came in after the long struggles of EMS staffing and EMS, financial issues and ambulance services going out of business and ambulance services happen to merge. These were the main reasons why. And finding unique ways to try to partner with their municipal friends, it's the best option to try to offer something in return to the membership. It's not just giving us the money, it's obviously the residents get something in return. And we want to get more in depth with that, we can certainly lay out what that plan 100% looks like. I don't want to bore everyone tonight with that. It's been a long night, so it was just best to try to introduce it. We've talked about this last year, so if you have any questions, I'm more happy to entertain them, but that's it.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just want to clarify one point. You talked about, the support from the township. That is for your LSA grant that you're submitting for the station.
One more time.
I know you had said that if you're fortunate enough to get funding, and that refers to the LSA grant.
So we have a RACP grant that we put in, and the LSA grant, State Fire Commission grant. If you're talking about the station specifically, Bob, then yeah, that's a whole separate line item to us, basically.
Okay.
If you look down at the bottom of our budget, that last page, it shows, what our budget expense is, and then at the bottom, with and without the building kind of, net loss, net gain. But yeah, RACP, we put that in. LSA is currently in the process. We're looking for that letter of support from the municipality still. State Fire Commission grant gives you about a $400,000 window. So, and you know how the RAPP grant works, you got to kind of have that 50% funding, right? So it can't be other grant money, it's got to be other sources. So it's been a huge education.
And that will be on the board's agenda next Wednesday for support for the LSA grant for the station.
Okay, thank you. One thing, Bill, contributions to fire companies, that's, I think, account 450. That would be an amount that would be for, would Friendship be included in that number?
It hasn't in the past, but we certainly could.
Okay,
That's not
It-
included.
I mean, if that's taken away from the fire services, I don't know if we can look at another option, Bill, but I don't know if that's possible to do that. I mean, I wouldn't want to take away from what they're getting right now. I mean, just to be fair.
That's something we'll take a
You'll
look
take a
at.
look
Get
at
back-
it. Yes, we will. Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. I'd like to go to the next one on the list here, Ridge Fire Company.
Hello, my name is Jack Clark. I'm a board member of the Ridge Fire Company. With me tonight, I have Ray Kopp, President and Deputy Chief, Joel McMillan, the Chief of the Fire Company. Last year, the contribution from the township for the 2025 budget year was $21,864, which we appreciate. For 2026, we asked that just be adjusted for inflation, 3% roughly to 22,500. Ed, you're looking like that's a number you weren't expecting to hear, or okay. Or happy to hear.
I got 2 torn vitruses and cataracts, so that's why I make my
Cataracts.
faces.
So that would be the request. I can answer any questions about how that money is used to offset operational expenses associated with firehouse.
It's not necessary.
So in the time that I had here, I looked through the budget. I've never looked through the township budget before. That's remiss on my part, being a resident, but I see that there's a line item where township, East Pikeland and Spring City Borough are reimbursed for workers' comp. I would just ask that East Coventry, which bears the full cost of our workers' comp, maybe make contact and see if we could work out relieving some of that cost from them. I don't think it would be a big number because we're also covering South Coventry, part of West Vincent and part of Warwick. I think it would be a sliver, but I think it would be appropriate for that workers' comp cost to be covered there. I think letters have been sent at times over the years, but I don't think they ever came in the middle of an appropriate budget cycle. So I don't think that's ever been worked out, but I would just ask that if there's probably some secret channel townships, talk to townships or that we see.
Worth
if we could,
considering.
It's
help
worth
East
considering.
Coventry out.
Let's put that on the list. Yes, please. Please. Thank
So
you.
again, for next year, we'd ask for 22,500. Any questions?
No.
Okay,
No,
thank you.
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you for all you do.
I would like to ask Liberty Fire if they're here, if they would come up. And they're not here. Kimberton Fire.
Okay,
Hi,
good evening.
good evening.
Doug Gable, the Assistant Chief from Kimberton. We, in addition, just like Ridge, have been looking at our funding. We're getting just over $900 a year for base salary or base return from you guys. We do get some money for the relief money, which is separated. We're just asking for some consideration for additional funding. $980, whatever it is, doesn't go very far, as we all know. I'm not looking to take money from Spring City, Ridge, Friendship, anything like that. If you guys can come up with a couple nickels somewhere, we'll take them.
We have some nickels.
We'll take nickels.
How much you asking?
It's a start.
How much would you like?
Yes.
Would you like to us? for the board to
Honestly, we didn't
consider?
come with an amount to request. We're just asking for some consideration for an increase.
What I would like you to do here is, because we would need to have something to be able to be actionable on. Why don't we do this? Why don't you go back, consider what that amount should be, and then please get in contact with Bob.
Absolutely. Be
Okay.
glad to.
You think in the next couple of days you could do that?
Yes,
Yes.
definitely.
Okay,
That'd be great.
great.
That's all we're looking for. is just
Okay.
some consideration.
We'll look for nickels.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so that gets to the end of the list here. So what I'm going to do is open this up to general conversation. Bob, would you agree? We came to the end of the participants that were on the list here.
Yes, I believe so.
And we just talk about just any general comments about the budget.
Yes,
could-
yes.
Head in that direction. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if the fire departments and Friendship would like to go, I mean, I know you'd probably like to stay for exciting conversations, but we appreciate your time here. So You wanted to take off. Thank
Thank you very much,
Yes,
folks.
thank you very much.
For all you do.
Yes. We really appreciate all your contributions to the community. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, does anyone want to talk? Does anyone have any general questions before I start? I have some. Okay. So one of the things I would like to ask here is the payroll increase. What is the percent increase year over year?
Bill, probably had payroll increase of about 4%, I believe, in the past. 4 or
It's ranged from
5%.
3 to 4% in the past, the last several years because of the certain other increases mid-year and other situations. It's been more than that.
Okay, so I did look at, when I look at the budget around these. Okay, here we go. Just passing this down to you. When I looked at the budget, I saw some increases that were closer to 10%.
That's correct.
Okay, so that's not 3 or 4%.
Right. What I was looking to do here, which I had, and I'll also get this out, to make some additional adjustments with 5 individuals here in the township. Of looking to make an adjustment of between 9 and 10% salary to stay competitive with our surrounding communities, as well as the studies that were done by Chester County, Bucks County, and Montgomery County all did salary surveys. So what you see there is a comparison between the current salaries, the proposed salaries for individuals, and then how that lines up with the average salaries in Chester County, Bucks County, and Montgomery County. With the 9% or 10% increase, we will still be behind all of our neighboring communities. The concern I have is we have very good staff. We want to stay competitive salary wise, because if we would ever lose anybody, we will pay significantly more.
I don't know if that was a sign, but when you got onto the part about the increases, it started raining really hard. I don't know if that's a sign from God when
That's a good thing though, because isn't if it rains on your wedding
It's
day, that
supposed
means
to be good luck.
it's very-
Yeah.
Supposed to be a good thing.
Yes.
But that's something for the board to consider. I know that we're currently under a contract with the police department. When that contract comes up, I believe in another year and a half, we're going to have some conversations there, because again, we are running to the very low side of it. The other part too is to consider when you look at the salary increase is we have no real pension plan that we offer our employees. So to make up for that, I'm looking at trying to adjust the salary as well for this, because we lost a public works employee, just as an example. He left for more money and a true pension plan. We had another individual that didn't last too long. They left for more money. We have not had in the past looking for replacements in public works. We have not had any other communities, public works people applying here because our salaries are low and we have no pension plan. So those are the reasoning behind the salary adjustment, because we don't have a pension, and to continue to try to stay pace, because again, this is 25, we will still be low, because with the other communities and salaries, they'll continue to go up. So again, I don't want to be the highest.
I don't know if God's saying something here.
I know he is.
Yeah.
You might be saying more, more, yeah. But
I do have a question. If I may.
Yes.
okay.
So when we're comparing what we're doing to these other Chesco, Bucks, and Watco, what is the number of residents that you're looking at relative to the number of residents that we have and the demand for services from those others. What's the volume for the demand of services relative to what we provide?
We're similar. There are other communities that for our size, and there are ones that are bigger, that, yeah, there's some more responsibilities, but they have a lot more staff too, as well, to be able to handle some of those responsibilities of what we do, what we provide. So you can look at it both ways. You can look at saying, look, smaller communities may pay smaller, but given that the market is getting tougher and tougher to find people, the salaries are jumping up. And I recently saw some ads for other municipalities looking to hire for building code officials, planning positions that are significantly higher than the average here. And it just comes down to is the market of how competitive it has become. And so I put this out for the board to consider. I think we have a very good staff.
Oh, I would.
That's
definitely
come a
agree
long
with
way,
that.
and I
agree
don't
with
mean to
that. Yeah.
use that.
Right.
It's just, I'm worried that if someone decides to go, we're gonna pay a lot more than what these salaries are looking at now.
Do the numbers that Bill gave us for the budget include the additional $73,000?
They do.
They do. Yeah.
It's all included. And that would be effective for next year, for 2026. Again, I don't think you don't, this is just conversation right now as you're asking questions for.
Mhm.
It is. I know we've had several increases over the last
Last 2 years.
few years
Sure,
here.
we have.
And we have to keep in mind too that, if we're asking for a 10% increase, and I know that we've done this comparison before,
Correct.
we have to keep in mind too that we have an economy that is slowing down significantly. We have a labor market that is not the greatest right now.
I disagree with both of those ones.
Well, I
110%.
well, and what I'm saying here is I know that the job market might be a little bit different when it comes to government and local government employees. That job market might be different than the wider job market, but I'm just concerned about the increases. I mean, that we've had, I think if you were to sum these up, we've had, and I think compared to what the market was, and I'll say where the compensation was previously, we definitely needed to make some changes.
And we did last year.
And we did. And I think we did.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think if we had a good pension plan, not a great pension plan,
Yeah.
we had a good pension plan in place, probably wouldn't be looking at these kind of numbers.
I would look at it as it's a $10 per household increase. And you weigh that against some of the other things that were asked for tonight. And you look at the collateral damage that you would be dealing with if you lost one of the people that we have right now that are just, they're not people that are just showing up to a job every day. They do a great job.
Yeah. And I'm not questioning that at all, or implying that. Yeah.
So it's $10 per household versus we're talking about some of the other things that we're talking about here tonight.
Yeah, and Ed, you made the same point last year. And I'm not, and please understand, I'm not, that's not critical. It was a point well taken last year. It's difficult to rebut the point again this year. Cumulatively, though, it's starting to add up.
But also I think too, the caliber of people, a lot of this is you're paying the position. Because we're sitting here today and actually proposing something that I don't know how many communities, counties, states are looking at a 0% tax increase now. And for the next 2 years, 3 years, and coming off of 2 years of none, so 5, because of their expertise, we've been able to put that proposal together based on the efficiencies that they run. And again, it's a different day in East Vincent Township based on the performance.
I would I would look at it mathematically a different way as well, is you look at what we saved in healthcare costs,
Mhm.
the magnitude of those dollars versus what the ask is here.
It's the magnitude substantially exceeds the ask. True. True.
It's never an easy time to ask, but
It's not, Bob, and I'm wondering what
these
happens,
people
what
are-
happens next year, and then the year after that, year after that. I mean, at some point, we're gonna hit a ceiling.
well, at a point in two is where you look at those numbers. I mean, I'm just gonna take the police chief. You know, you got other chiefs making 179, 172, 173. He's currently at 141, and he's the leader of Chester County. And I think if anything happened with emergency management or that, they're gonna turn to him immediately. He's been offered other positions.
Mhm.
Thank goodness he is not gone. He's, you know, I think it demonstrates the commitment that people have to East Vincent Township here. And would I be back here again, asking for these types of increases next year? To their, may not be thrilled, but, you know, probably not at this level here, because I think we're starting to bring ourselves up to where now we are in a competitive situation. We have to work on the pension side of it. But I think we're getting into a competitive situation. And as you mentioned before, I mean, when I started here, the salaries were embarrassingly low. I mean, we're lucky anybody stayed at
Well,
those
what numbers
numbers.
are you thinking about in terms of, total cost for us, or I shouldn't say cost, total contribution for a pension plan?
We've got some numbers we'll share with the board, but as part of that, there would be a contribution there for putting a true pension plan in place. There would be contributions that would be asked for from the employee to contribute towards their pension plan. So if we put one in place, yes, they would contribute towards that.
All right, well, listen, to Ed's last point, with the anticipation that we're going to be seeing savings each year in insurance.
Maybe from, electricity too.
Yeah.
Possibly.
It'll
be over so many years, but
That's a good point, but it's like 11
Oh,
a year.
Yeah,
And I think
I think that this, on,
cost savings do help to offset increases in other areas, which is why I
It
like to
does, and I
hear these
also-
projects.
think about how the board's been thinking about it from the proposals we've heard, like Parks and Rec and other areas. When we improve those areas, that means there's, we aren't going to have to be sinking more and more money into it. The longer we wait with some of these improvements, it's going to get naturally more expensive. I would guess if we did Independence Park 10 years ago, we wouldn't be anywhere near that $3 million number.
of
But,
course not.
That's where, again, is I think this proactive approach to this. And again, the people that you have here, are very cost conscious of how we perform these things. There's going to be increases to the fee schedules because again, we're done subsidizing, private builders, developers, and that's going to change. So you're going to see that coming to you in December. And again, those are generated from the staff themselves. They see this, they watch this all the time. So I don't want to, even though the savings are good on healthcare, I don't want to plan on using that. Those are savings that we look at the overall general fund, and we'll continue to keep looking at all these different things you're looking at.
This is going to require a formal motion next week.
This actually would be at the final budget approval, which would be in December to do this.
Well, let
I
me ask you a question on this. When you're saying pension, are you talking about like a 457 plan?
No, he's talking about
A defined, like the traditional?
You could look at that, or, there's also the defined contribution too. We can look at both of those. There's a big move towards defined contribution, which I think that's where we would be looking at going to defined contribution. Again, there's a cost savings to that, to the township in the long term. But also I think that's a big part of retention. And now retention has become the big part of this is how do you retain your people?
Can we defer that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. But I see this and it's.
I appreciate the conversation and the consideration.
We've had this conversation a little bit before. Ed and
have.
I think we both consider a traditional pension plan maybe not as appealing, considering that I mean, you worked and were advising companies, I think, in the past when, from an actuarial perspective, and we know that a lot of companies have, I'm just saying, outside of the government, that outside the government, that a lot of companies have moved away from it, gone to 401k plans, and that has been better, and it can be very costly for your traditional pension plan. So I do want to continue to discuss this.
Great,
Agreed.
thank you.
Yes. But I'm glad that you are advocating for the staff, and I just want to say again, I have a lot of admiration for the staff and all the work that they do here, and it's been, I've got to see a lot more now that I've been a supervisor, you know, as compared to when I was a resident. So I just want to say that.
Thank you. I know they appreciate it.
Public comment?
Hold on.
We have one. There is online.
Okay.
Hello, Dana.
Hi, Dana Chaffone, Hearthstone Circle. Yeah, what's that?
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. Yeah, Craig's right about the defined benefits plans. I mean, if we're going to consider some sort of pension, they are largely being phased out because they're high cost and there's a lot of financial risk and administrative complexity. I worked with this at Vanguard for a while. And just like a desire for more portable benefits for employees. So I think that should be, you know, if we're going to be looking at a pension, I think a 401k or, you know, a defined contribution is probably what we want to look at. I just had a question because I don't have any of the data in front of me, but with the numbers, the salary comparisons that you have, Bob, is that at like a job specific level? Because I'm hearing you say like 9 to 10% across the board. I wondered if they got into the specificity around, you know, different types of positions within the staff. Did they give you that level of detail? I was just curious.
Yes, it's an apples to apples from other municipalities of what their positions are.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
from-
that's great. And then I'm back to the Parks and Rec thing with that contingency. Just a general question about like what the impact of that is to the budget as a percentage, and then also to the extent that that wouldn't be used, because I don't know how the budget process works yet. What happens with, you know, if we come in under budget, we don't need that contingency, but how is that handled year over year?
That goes rolled back into fund balance at the end of every year. It can be reallocated the following year for that same project if it's continued over to another year, or it can just be used as fund balance for the future.
Okay, thank you. And then again, some of the Parks and Rec things seem like capital spending versus general fund. Can you just kind of clarify why they would be some of the improvements, like the tennis courts or pickleball courts and repaving that? Does that just fall under general maintenance then? Is that why those types of things are in the general fund versus capital?
Yes, they're smaller items of that nature generally fall under your different categories and departments in your general budget.
Okay, do you kind of set a level around that? Like if it's under a certain amount, it goes to general versus capital?
Honestly, I don't know that there is an actual number amount. Typically in the past, we've used the capital accounts for like over several $1 million. This municipal complex, the wastewater system, those kind of things.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I have more familiarity with the school board and they have some of those smaller things, you know, like they redid the weight room and it was a couple $100,000 and that was in the capital budget. So just comparing that. And then when we look at some of these things that are capital improvements, do you also estimate or build in what the ongoing maintenance costs are for some of those things? Is that built in terms of what the spend is now to actually improve something versus what that's going to do to the general fund ongoing. Do you guys, I'm sorry, I'm just new to that. Do you look at that as well in the decision making?
I would say
I'm not following the question.
the board would take that in consideration when they would go ahead with a project, that it's going to require annual maintenance, and they would probably take that into consideration, the amount of annual maintenance when they consider to go ahead or not.
Maybe
If that's what
if
you're
I can just add to Bill's part. The budget's still a work in progress. Because, and I think, Dana, this will go to the question that you have. Depending upon the life of the improvement will determine whether or not it falls under an operating, maintenance, or a capital fund. So my typical rule of thumb is if it has a life of 10 years plus, that would fall in the capital. If it falls, and then you have to make a determination less 5 years, whether that lifetime it would be considered based on the dollar amount that's spent would be considered capital or not. That's kind of the all I've gone to. And again, the process of reworking the budget, we began that probably 2 years ago, where we're now putting whatever the expenses are in the appropriate line item. Even if it's not funded, we're going to put the dollars to that line item. I don't like a budget where, well, we have money available in this fund, so because we're out on this, we're going to put it there. We're going to put it in the fund where it belongs. So now you have an accurate history of what that expense is, like trees. That's one thing that has been all over the place. So that we start to become accurate in those line items too. So
Yeah,
the process,
that's great.
we continue to have to work on the process too of how we separate capital from operating, and then where it applies to, whether it sits in the general fund or in capital improvement fund.
Yeah, that's great. That's really helpful, Bob. I was thinking also in terms of when you make an improvement, typically you have something that you have to maintain. So your operating budget is increased, in the future and moving forward. So I just wondered if we estimate that and, sort of a look forward of what, okay, now we've increased, let's say, maintenance fees by, overall in the budget by X%. I was just curious if that gets projected at all as we look ahead. But thanks for the information. I appreciate it.
Sure. And that's something we're going to look at, because with Independence Park is going to be a perfect example of that.
Exactly. Yep.
Improvements to People's Park and Cedar Road Park, again, that's another example again of how we're going to allocate those and what the expenses are.
Yep. That ongoing cost. Exactly. Yep. Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
So one of the questions I have, Bill, this is back to the general fund. This is for account 314. This is special litigation. It's been 100,000 for the last 2 budget years. And again, these are ones that where I'm seeing these the same amount, year after year. Should that be less? Because when you look at the previous years and then the run rate even for this year, should that be a smaller amount?
Just ask her.
It's a plug number, isn't it, Bill?
It's an estimate.
Sure.
It's for the ongoing litigation matters, obviously, and
Right.
You don't know what you don't know until you start getting into it, how much is going to be involved.
And we've been fortunate that over the years, we haven't had much in the way of litigation. Although we do now. We have the appeals in the, yes, the Benson matter. Thank you very much, Ed. The 2 appeals there. We are at loggerheads with Lennar that could easily turn into litigation. So $100,000 does not go that far in litigation, especially major litigation.
Says the attorney.
Says the attorney.
Right.
Yeah, I was anticipating there would be a court situation at some point this year. It did not occur, thankfully.
Same here. Same here.
And it could crop up again next
It
year.
could.
I mean, it's had the issues haven't resolved themselves, I don't think, yet.
Okay. Another question I have is on account 312. This is just your engineering general. I know through 10 months, we've spent almost 91,000. Just wondering what the estimate of 90,000 is for, since we've been, the last 2 years, we've been hovering. 2024, we were 87,000 through 10 months, we're 91,000, and we're 90,000 now. Just things like that. This is getting back to that general comment I mentioned before, that just sort of look at some of these and see what the specifics are, because I see 90,000 being less, and usually if I have a run rate that's higher this year, why would we go down next year's budget?
Well, first of all, when we say engineering, what does that cover?
This line item is general engineering. There are engineering line items in other categories such as Parks and Rec and highways and other things like that for those specific items. I was going by the trend the last number of years. You've had 86,024 and we're on track, even though it's at 65 now. This was as of October, well, partly in October, end of fully through September. So I suspect that number will get close to the 90,000, maybe a little shy.
But Bill, when we say general engineering, give me an idea of what we're talking about. Just a few examples.
Yeah, it would be questions regarding or consultations regarding different potential projects or
Let me try one.
Maybe I can help you
Yeah, go
on
ahead.
this. We've utilized the engineer a lot, and this is something I know, Mark, you've asked for, which we hope to have next Wednesday for you. We have used this line item for Magnolia Reserve, Washington Square.
Okay.
We have utilized them in Jones Motor, culverts, drainage situations, stream evaluation.
Data
So
center.
those are just just some of the items
Okay.
that we utilize that for. Plus then too, as I know Bill said, that we have line items in some of the other boards and commissions.
Mhm.
And I think it's been good that the engineer's been able to help with the boards and commissions to be there and attend some of these meetings, even the historical commission, that you have a representative like that to be there to answer questions, which I don't believe that was the case in the past, that you actually had either the solicitor be there or the engineer to be there. Plus on some of the legal matters, which I don't want to probably go into, but also the engineer has been utilized in those particular areas in the regards of development as well.
Mhm.
But we will get you that breakdown because I think, Mark, I know you asked the question of how much are we spending, making these projects right in both Magnolia and Washington Square. And again, we have our own road programs. I know Jason has not had access in the past to the township engineer to ask questions about conditions where we've had a sinkhole this past year that had to be consulted upon. There was, I think, a blowout of another area of the road from a development that we're not sure should have taken place there to actually identify that. So he's been a big resource to Jason Public Works too.
Okay, so I just want to add on to that a little bit. Bob, you had mentioned before about making sure we get things into the right account so we can see
Mhm.
that history over time. And I know that in the past, that was not necessarily the case and moved around. So what I would like to ask for, and Bill, you and I have talked about this before, I'd like to have this done before the end of the year if possible. I'd like to see definitions for these accounts. Now, we have received these accounts from the state and the descriptions come with it, but we really need, what we need is a definition so we can define. So when we look at it, we can even look at these definitions and say, oh, I sort of know what should be in there. I would like you to just work on that and see if we can get that done before the end of the year. And that's something that we can continue to utilize going forward, which again, this is just one of these suggestions for continuous improvement.
Mhm.
Yes.
Agreed.
Okay. Another question I have is on the Veterans Center. We have 115,000 in there, payment to Spring City. Could you elaborate on this a little bit more compared to last year's budget and the run rate so far the prior years?
We have a cooperation agreement with with Spring City, that some of our properties are connecting into Spring City sewer that runs up into our township.
Right.
And rather than having run a separate line over to that area to connect it to Veterans Center, we just send it to Spring City. It's a reciprocal agreement. Well, I shouldn't say it's reciprocal. They bill us, we bill the customers. So we get the money back from the residents for that money that we spend out. This year's in particular, we have a new development, 506 Park Road, which is coming online, which is 14 EDUs units that'll be going over there. So that'll up our cost to Spring City to pay for those. And it also, in addition, in this amount is also the tapping fees that we have to pay to Spring City. And then again, we recoup those tapping fees from the building developer.
And you have like a model calculation that you went through to come up with?
Yeah, we have EDUs calculated for
Right.
all the homes.
I've seen the agreement a long time ago. I used to have access. I don't know if I still have access to it because I know I'd received it in previous meetings. This is before Bob, you came along, but I'd like to see that arranged, that agreement again, just at some point. Just
talking about the tapping fees or
no,
the
agreement that we have with Spring City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just if we could resurrect that so we all had access to it. We had a copy of it. It was one of those other things I was talking about too. If we can make sure we have our contracts out there on the network so that we can make sure that we can look at all those in one same spot. Right. Okay. Another question I have is on the contracted services. I believe that is also in the Veteran Center here. We have 150,000 in the budget. I think this year we've spent just almost $3,000. So again, just curious what that is. It's account
Sorry?
450.
No, say it again, please, Craig.
It is contracted services, account 450.
It's 428, 450, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
428, 450. That's right.
Yeah, they're multiple 450s. I just didn't want to confuse it.
Yep, I understand. Yep.
Basically what it was this year, we were to televise a certain section. We want to rotate it every year and continuously televise portions of the system to maintain, a stop for infiltration and other things. And unfortunately, it didn't happen this year, the portion that we wanted to do with the changeover in sewer engineer. So we're trying to get back into that next year. So the portion that was scheduled for next year was going to be over $100,000. And there's also in that line item, the mowing for the pump stations and other improvements to the pump stations or maintenance to the pump stations.
Okay.
So that's the big jump is the video of
that. Okay. Yeah, because it was a huge increase. And so
yeah, and like I said, we had it scheduled for this year also, but it just fell through the cracks with everything else, and we never actually got it scheduled.
Yeah, because we had 95,000 last year.
That was the
budgeted for.
95 primary. Well, a portion of that 90.
Right.
It was around 90.
Right. I think that might be the end of my top level questions. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? Yes, please.
A favorite topic of Mark and myself, Barton Meadows wastewater treatment plant. Hauling for this year. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of rain. And when I look at the year to date on hauling, we're at 2,250. We had a budget of 30,000. So what happens to that 30,000? The difference between the two monies?
Was the capital?
Yeah, it rolls into capital for next year, and well, in all likelihood, towards the rebuilding of Duck Pond, Nottingham.
Okay, and then, in years, when Catherine Ricardo was here, we got a increase in September of that last year that she was here that was to be used for specific items.
Right.
But then, once those specific items were completed, we did not get a decrease at all in our rents, and our rents are extremely high. So I just was wondering, was that examined? And why are our rents staying at the same level?
Your capital has been depleted and never was very high to begin
Yeah,
with.
I agree with you,
due
Bill.
due to maintenance issues and other things and pumping and hauling over the years. And whenever we did have any excess at the end of the year for any reason, it was simply tried to build up your capital again So that when something like the Duck Pond or Nottingham, which we knew those stations were old and were going to need to be repaired, we've been delaying it. That we were trying to build that up to as much as we could. And unfortunately, there's always seems to be one other thing that needs to be done and drains that back down again for different emergency.
So where would I
situations.
find our general capital fund balance?
The
is that-
balance in there right now, I believe, is 100 and
No, but she's asking
80-ish.
where?
Where do I?
it's not
find
on the
that?
budget. That's in the
Oh, it's
balance
not
sheet.
on the budget.
No, your bank
Okay.
accounts are on your balance sheet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is our capital budget at the moment? Do
The
you know?
capital capital
Fund?
account is at around 180,000.
Okay.
And I think
That's much better than it was in the past.
that's
Is
about
that-
the best it's been since I've
Right.
been here.
Tell me about it.
Yes.
I just was curious about
And-
that.
Yeah.
Then also on the planning commission, I noticed that nobody was here to give a presentation. Were they asked to give a presentation for the planning commission?
Don't know if I included them. I'm sorry.
Well, I just have a general question. We have an outstanding revision on the zoning ordinance that is facing us as its deficiencies. Every day we see more things that need to be, updated. And what is the plan and how are we going to do that to update our zoning ordinance? And are there any funds being set aside to make that happen? Somebody has to do that. And who's going to be doing it to update the zoning?
The workers that have been, all right, the red lines have been drafted. So we need to sit down and discuss how we're going to tackle those red lines. Now, there's several, one in particular that I saw that I'm not very happy with.
So when you say the red lines, Mark, are you
Hmm?
talking about what came from the county?
No,
What are
no,
you talking about?
from the committee.
From the, so when the committee pushed against what the Chester County Planning Commission wanted, are you talking about that?
No, Chris,
of
what I'm talking
detail?
about, the proposed changes to the zoning ordinance. We asked for those to be put in red line form. We have the red lines.
Okay, so that's from Chester County.
I don't believe so.
Yeah, that's
Well-
part of the
well,
grant.
Hold on.
So I think what came from what we asked for the county, their final deliverable, the board had asked for like red line.
Correct.
So that's what currently sits with
Right,
the
but that's,
township right now.
those changes are all the changes that were made by the zoning committee, by the zoning
By
change
that
committee.
group committee
Right.
and Chester County as part of that grant.
Right.
But what I understood, now, correct me, I'm seeing it from the outside, you're on the inside. I thought that, what?
It's, I don't think any one of us has really sat down and taken a good look at it, so we're
Okay.
probably in the same boat,
Okay,
Chris.
so what I understand, let me just say what I understand. The red line that you asked for came from the county.
Correct.
But then Rachel and Elaine still had further commentary on that red line. And then there it sits. And we all know that this next year, we probably need to work on revising it and getting into a form that the Board of Supervisors finds acceptable, correct?
Okay, well, time out.
But-
Wait, so we're talking, so the red lines we have are not the final iteration of all the changes?
No.
No, well, I mean, from what came out of the grant application, that's the final deliverable that was received with the
By
red
the
line.
county.
By the county, that county gave here. So the next step is for the planning commission to begin the process to
I
review
understand,
that.
but Chris is, I heard Chris, and perhaps I misunderstood what Chris said. I thought I heard Chris say that in addition to those red lines that we had, which I thought came from the committee,
No.
it
came
doesn't,
from the
no,
county.
it doesn't matter who actually physically gave us the red lines. The red lines, I understand, are the net changes that were made by the committee. Now, what you said, Chris, is there's some additional changes that Rachel and Elaine want to make.
Correct.
Okay,
Because but from my point of view, what I've heard, and and I'm not in it, is that it came from the county. So the question I'm trying to ask is on a financial basis, are you putting in any funding for 2026 for whatever body, legal, whoever's going to make those changes? Are you making that a project for 2026? And do you need funding for it? And should it be appearing in the planning commission budget?
To answer that, that will come out of between the professionals and the consultants that we have,
Right.
because they'll be utilized in there. That will come out of the general fund for that.
Okay,
So whatever those numbers that are in there will come out of that.
so it is a live project,
Oh,
even though it's not appearing in the planning commission
Yes,
budget.
yes.
Pardon me, Ed? Okay, just wanted to get clarification on that, because
Yes.
it's an important issue for the township to revise. And then I just wanted to add one little thing is that when you get to that borderline of going from maintenance to capital, particularly for the parks, parks don't have to be new development, they can be rehabilitation.
Absolutely.
So you can go for matching money. So the list that's coming out of the Park and Rec Board is a total budget request, but you could go for rehabilitation for Park on the Ridge because we've reached the time limit on certain things. And you could probably get, this is different than land preservation money. It's capital money out of a different account in the county. That's 25% there and 50% from the state if you got it. So I just want you to think about that. You don't have to put out such a large outlay if you decide that the rehabilitation of this park is a priority over the new playground and other facilities at Independence Park. So it just makes it a lesser number if we won the grant application, but it's worth going for, given that you could end up with 75% of the total cost being funded by the county and the state.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kurt or Monica, good evening.
You get both of us tonight. We're looking through the budget online right now. Just a quick question about, I see $111,000 has been spent year to date in legal fees. Can you give us a breakdown of where that has been spent?
Well, there's one thing I just want to say. If any of that, if there's some confidentiality in there that we can't disclose right now because we wouldn't be able to discuss it yet. There is a time period where we do have to provide things to the public, and we always do. But there could be some part of that expenditure that is confidential in nature. So, Bill, I don't know if.
Well, I mean, Craig, there's nothing wrong with just with saying it just in general.
In general, yeah, if we can
Generalize,
generalize
yeah.
it, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yes,
For
that's
example,
fine.
real estate, that sort of thing.
Yep, okay.
Do you want names of some of the, we can stay the high level topics if you want.
I would say that the main, the general engineering is for litigation situations, for employee things that may crop up, from other
No, not engineering,
There's legal.
legal, I'm sorry, legal. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm speaking legal. I might have said engineering. I apologize. And from other, like I said, personnel matters or any other issues like that that would crop up throughout the year.
Now, what about his work on the data center,
Yes,
Washington Square?
yes, yeah. Not
Um,
anything that's not rebillable as escrow. Yes, would be there. Yes.
Partisan,
Yeah, so I
right?
said general litigation. I just lumped that in there so we don't. get-
So it's Kurt, Monica, it covers the full range of work that Joe has done for us. You're aware of the ongoing issues with Magnolia Reserve, Washington Square, the data center. All the service that Joe has performed for us as a date. I can say personally that Joe spends a lot of time, working for us, almost as if he's our private attorney. But
There's also, just to add to that, there's also expenditures working with Haley here on planning and zoning issues, with Cindy on building code official on code items and issues that he's involved with.
training,
So there's a lot that the township takes on right now.
And
There's a lot of it.
and Bill, they're talking about, I just looked it up here. They're talking about the area, I think it might be cost center group 404. There's like 3 accounts there. Yeah. That's the 111,000 they're referring to.
Right. Kurt, Monica, does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. It sounds like it's legal fees paid to Joe and his organization mostly. There's nothing in there like, I'm just hypothetical, like we didn't settle any lawsuits or anything like that.
No, that would come out of litigation.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
To add to that, Kurt, any settlement of any legal issues would have to be done here in public by the board to approve it.
Sure.
Any other questions online? Is there any other questions by the public? No, any? No questions here? Okay,
One comment I can make
yes,
is that just know that the Board of Supervisors are involved a lot on the budget, and I've heard from all of them concerns, questions. And their directive was clear this year is, no tax increase at all, and want to try to get to 3 years without tax increases. And I think, again, through everyone's participation, especially our boards and commissions, they save us hundreds of thousands of dollars with the work that they do, and with our staff and the management that they have to watch expenses, and that, we're looking to meet what the board's request is made of us.
yes,
Thank you. for
great
that.
point. Well, with that being said, if there's
to
no other
adjourn?
questions, yep. Motion to adjourn, and you second it, I'll second it. How about that? You already said it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.